The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to An Open Door on the Arts. My name is Barb Richer, and I will be your host as we travel through the Capital Region, meeting the incredible people that bring so much light and humor and happiness and pathos to our life, the artists of our region. Today we actually have a three-part group of artists, if you will. I'm sure the adage, "it takes a village," means something to you. And when I was putting together this interview, I thought, well, this is another thing that's like it takes a village. We have an incredibly wonderful play, Clybourne Park, by Bruce Norris. This play won the 2011 Pulitzer Prize, and it also won the 2012 Tony Award for Best Play. So it's, in this case, our child. This is something that we want to nurture and bring forward to all of you. And the second part of that village is the Albany Barn, which I hope you'll remember some months ago we interviewed. Is a wonderful place on 2nd Street here in Albany that provides housing for artists, it provides rehearsal space, it provides an amazing theater possibility, and in this case, that's what we're using there, is the theater at the Albany Barn. And it also could not have been nurtured and brought forth without Classic Theater Guild. I knew I was going to say that wrong. It's Classic Theater Guild, which is a theater program that's been here in the Capital Region for some time, and you'll learn a little bit more about during this interview as well. They have banded together under the direction of Karen Christina Jones to bring us Clybourne Park here, making its Capital Region premiere. It is a wonderful play in two parts, kind of like bookends to the Raisin in the Sun, Lorraine Hansberry in 1959. This Clybourne Park looks at what might have happened just before Raisin in the Sun, and then again what might have happened just after Raisin in the Sun, using the same cast of characters. It's a very exciting theatrical experience, one I'm hoping that a lot of us will get out to see. So it's with great pleasure that I interview and introduce Karen Christina Jones to our program today.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure talking with you and getting to know you, and I hope our audience will have a chance to get to know you just as well.
Here. Thank you so much.
Maybe we could start by your telling us a little bit about yourself and how you can so audaciously come here and undertake this amazing program.
Well, I have been living in the Capital Region for 16 years this November. I'm originally from downstate, born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island, and went to school at York College in Jamaica, Queens.
Wonderful.
So I was a English lit major and a theater minor.
What a beautiful combination to bring theater to the Capital Region. Amazing.
So I moved up here in 2000. I started working with the Central Avenue Theater Project with my friend Ed Bablin, who's one of the founding members of Classic Theater Guild.
Okay.
And after doing a couple of plays, a couple of stage readings with him at the old Zuzu's on Hamilton Street in Albany, I decided to undertake my first directorial project on my own. Yes, with the help of Ed Bablin, who was the producer of my first couple of shows.
So what was your first show?
My first show was called Silences by Shirlene Holmes. She is also a York College graduate. She is a professor at Georgia State University. And she has a collection of plays about the African American experience, the LGBT experience, because she is LGBT, and she has really made her mark as a playwright.
As a playwright.
Yes.
How wonderful.
Yes.
And you brought that to, and you
Yes.
brought this experience to
Yeah.
Albany. That's grand.
And it was also a very, very emotional story. It was about a family coming back from the father's funeral and the issues of the abuse from the father on the children and wife come out in the aftermath. Yeah.
That's very tough stuff to handle.
It is. It is.
It takes a director with some background and a very deft touch to pull all of that together.
I think it was mostly just I really wanted to do it because I had only directed one play before that, and it was actually my senior project, so I was co-directing it with a professor of mine, and it was Streetcar Named Desire. But as an actor, I've always seen my performance from the audience perspective and from my perspective, and that made the transition for me to going into the director, because I've always felt that was the way that I was going.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right. And so directing is really a first choice over acting? Or
Yes.
Yes.
I do still do acting every once in a while. In fact, I was honored to be on the, not Albany, the Schenectady Civic Players stage on Sunday in Doubt, where I got to play Mrs. Muller for the 5th time.
Oh my goodness.
And that was a wonderful experience. But those times are few and far between because I really dedicate myself to directing.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, it takes a breadth of its experience. I always think of a director needing to really bring a lot of openness as well as personal experience to directing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What caused you to brought about this play?
Well, I directed Raisin in the A Raisin in the Sun on our own productions about 3-4 years ago, and it was an amazing production. It really was. I mean, you talk about it takes a village. It was the same instance with that. We had an amazing play.
Was that here in the capital
region? It was. Actually,
okay.
Sorry, it was in Schenectady.
Okay.
And it was actually staged at Emmanuel Frieden's Church on Knott Terrace.
Okay.
So we had a wonderful cast. We had an amazing play. We had a great theater company that was extremely supportive. And that production sold out every single performance.
How wonderful.
Yes.
How wonderful.
Yes.
So you've been sort of independently moving yourself from group to group
I have.
To bring together this body of experience that you have.
And I've done a couple of pieces on my own. I've staged and directed for Colored Girls Who Consider Suicide When a Rainbow's Enough twice. And you know, life is such a wonderful thing. A young woman who actually saw the production that I did the first time, which was like early 2000, was in the most recent production that I did.
How nice.
I get goosebumps when I think about it.
That's very nice.
You know, I really do. So
it was an inspiration.
It was an inspiration.
Yeah, that's nice.
So for Raisin and Clybourne Park, I mean, as an English major, which I still consider myself to be, even though I've graduated. I've always referred to myself as an English major.
As an English major?
You do research. So I researched on Hansberry. I researched on the play, and I mean, I went in and out. I discovered every bit of that play as much as I possibly could, reread it over and over again. So when Bruce Norris wrote Clybourne Park, it was...
What was your first thought about that?
My first thought was my face, as you see my face right now. I'm like,
yes.
Because, you know, when you're so attached to a piece that means so much to you, and it's such a template for American theater, Raisin in the Sun. So when something else comes in, you're like, I don't know how I feel about this until I read it.
Right. And then, did it change right away?
Immediately.
Really?
Immediately, because what he's doing is that he's doing a response to that play and seeing what has happened since, during, and now afterwards.
Wow. And it's very valid.
It's very valid. It's very valid. And how he gets the voices of both sides, you know, from the Caucasian side to the African American side, how he has them both discussing, and sometimes clashing, but still somewhat communicating. He got it on. I tell my actors every night, he got it on point. He really did.
He did.
He
so
really
they can
did.
trust the script.
Absolutely.
Trust the script.
Absolutely.
Now I'm curious how. So my understanding is that the first part takes place prior to Raisin
Younger
and the Son.
No, it actually takes place at the end.
Oh, all right.
Because what happens in the first act of Clybourne Park,
Okay.
we meet Bev and Russ Stoller, who are moving out of the house because 2.5 years prior, their son, who was a Korean War vet, committed suicide.
Okay.
So it's one of their last days. They're doing the finishing up. So it's Bev, it's Russ, it's their housekeeper, Francine, who's African American. It's her husband, Albert, who comes into the story. The local pastor, Jim, and from Raisin and Son, we have Carl Linder and his wife, Betsy.
Okay.
So Carl Linder has just, in the course of this play, finished seeing the younger family, and we all know what the younger family tells him in the Raisin. We're coming, we're going to be good neighbors, we're not going to start any revolution, and that's it. So now Linder is going for his last thing he's going to do is try to convince Bev and Russ Stoller not to sell to the youngers.
Not to sell to the African American family.
Right.
And that's where this play picks
That's
up
where it
now.
starts.
Okay. And it goes to.
And then it goes to 50 years later.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
When you have another couple coming in who is Caucasian American who wants to buy the property at 406 Clybourne Street, Clybourne Park, and rebuild. And now we have Lena, who is the grandniece of Lena Younger from Raisin and Son, and her husband objecting because now the neighborhood's being gentrified.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've come full circle.
Come full circle.
Come full circle. How interesting. How interesting. Now, how do you, I could ask you a million questions just about that, and I think we'll get back to that, but how do you cast it when you're talking about 50 years back and forth here?
You know, it's a cast of 7.
Okay.
And some productions, I understand, cast 14. But I really wanted to have the actors do both parts.
Wow.
And when we did auditions, I said, well, this is the option. I could do 14, or I can double it, or we can double it up. What are your thoughts? Of course.
As an actor.
It was actually a stupid question on my part because everybody wanted just to go
the challenge
for
of doing both parts. Right.
And the one thing that the playwright did is that the Russ character in the first part is a very challenging role. So the alter ego Dan in the second act doesn't really have that much to do because it gives an actor a little bit of a break. He doesn't really do it for the rest of the actors, but I can understand why he did it for the Russ character because he goes through so much.
Emotionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some of the actors I've worked with, some I have not. And everybody's doing just an amazing job.
So you're into your rehearsal time.
Yeah, we just had another rehearsal last night. We're having a rehearsal this evening. So they are working very hard and they're very excited.
It sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like you don't always get to, well, you almost never get to see a continuation of a situation that has been as wonderfully received to such accolades as a Raisin in the Sun. All you can do as the audience is try to imagine, if you will, how did that all turn out?
Right.
You know, it's not often that you actually have a playwright say, I'd like to figure out how that all worked out, and I'd like to present that. So that's what this production will do, is help us to understand then what the move through the challenges of Raisin in the Sun has led us to. How interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, how interesting. I can certainly understand the cast wanting to double up. That's wonderful. So they will, though, in essence, be playing the same part that they played in the beginning at another. No, they're playing entirely different characters.
Entirely different characters.
Okay.
For example, Jessica Paul plays Betsy Linder in the first act, who is a partially, I should say, hearing impaired woman. So not only does she have to take on how a hearing impaired person sounds vocally, but her and her acting partner, Tyler Pratt, who's playing Carl Linder, have to learn sign.
Okay.
And that's something that I was really on top of even before we went through auditions, finding somebody to do it correctly and do it respectfully.
Right. Doing the sign.
And the vocalization. And the vocalization. That's so important to me.
Right. Wow.
Yes.
So that's wonderful.
Yes.
You are really right down to the
to
the nitty-gritty of it. That's amazing.
Well, I thank a lot through my English degree background, just learning research and just making sure that things are just right, and knowing that every play that I do, there's a reason why I'm doing it, that I have a vision that goes with the plays that I do, and I don't just do plays willy-nilly. There's a reason why I stage and direct the plays that I do.
Dare I ask what the reason why you chose this play?
Because I know that we need to have a discussion about race in this country that is going past what we're seeing on television. And what my hope is when people walk away from this play and they go out to dinner or they go out to drinks, that they talk about what that play meant and what they liked about it. Heck, what they even didn't like about it. I think that we really need to have these discussions right now, because I think that racial relations in this country is so heartbreaking for me as a woman who's just, on the cusp of being 50, that you're hoping that at these times
in my lifetime
that things are going to get better, but in a sense they have, but in a sense they have not. So I want that conversation in a respectful way to come from this play.
What better way to do it than a piece of theater? I think that's one of the most incredible things about theater, is offering that opportunity to, in a safe environment, to look at what it is that might be distressful in a life or in our lives, and then, as you say, be able to take it out of that place into a different place and safely unwrap it again.
Absolutely.
That's one of the great things that theater can do, for
Absolutely.
sure. I agree with you. It's something that we really do need the opportunity to safely look at without fear, and with the ability to be honest with each other.
There's just so much anger, even among people who are of the same party, and it's getting to the point that we really don't know how to have a discussion without being respectful and being calm and just saying our feelings, and then accepting that person, whomever you're having the conversation with, without having this big blowout.
It sounds like this play offers all of us that chance.
Yes.
But the wonderful thing about theater, too, I think, is that I don't want our audience to lose this, because I want them also to come, because they know that they're going to see some amazing talent, a wonderful show, an opportunity to be outside of themselves for a while. The bonus is that there's relevance to our lives, it sounds like, and so you can come here. If you want to be challenged, you'll be challenged. If you want to be entertained, you're certainly going to be entertained. If you want to just step out of your own mind and your own issues for a while, this is the place to come. The bonus is that in the end we'll learn something that we can unpack later and look at.
And it's satire too. It's a very funny play.
Is it really?
It really is.
Don't you think satire is oftentimes one of the best ways you're going to learn things?
It is. One of our actors, Barry Williams Albert, who plays Albert, actually did it. He played the character up in Buffalo. Okay. And because the actors in the play are reading, reviews about the play, and they're reading the reviews on the script, and they're saying, but they say this play is funny. I don't get it's funny. It is funny. And, I call it a dramatic satire because there are aspects of it, because of us being human beings and the way husbands and wives communicate. It's very, very funny. And I think this is another reason why I really give kudos to Bruce Norris, because you can only do this if you have some laughter involved, because it would be just too much.
Good point. Very good point.
It would be way too much.
Yeah.
Hansberry did the same thing with Raisin in the Sun.
Good point.
People think it's a very serious play. No, it's a play about a family.
A real family.
And what families do are funny.
Yes, a real family.
Yes.
And if you look at it, you find that humor in your own family all the time, too. That's a very, very good point that you make. I think that's true, too.
Absolutely.
If I were to listen to my conversation with my husband on any given day on a tape recorder, it would be hilarious. I know, it would be like, who says things like that? So honesty. So you come to see a piece of honesty.
Yeah.
In its best form.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, you probably could have done just about any play. And this is the Capital Region premiere here. Any reason that we haven't seen it here before, do you think? Am I putting you on the spot?
And that's fine.
Okay.
And that's fine because it makes me think. So I appreciate that. I just really don't think that maybe theater companies are just afraid of approaching plays about certain topics. For a lack of a better term, to play it safe. Now, this play has been around long enough. It's going on 10 years, 2005.
Right.
That's a long time.
Right,
so,
right.
And it's definitely proven itself, winning a Pulitzer and a Tony Award. But
well, it won the Tony in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's still a long time.
I don't know why I'm thinking 05. I'm thinking 2005. I'm sorry in my head. I mean 2010 or 2011. So,
but you would still think you would have seen it here in the capital of New York State.
Absolutely.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, when you look at a lot of theater companies in this area, they choose plays that have a good record. And you've got musicals that usually make a lot of money, or you've got like the American canon of plays that usually do well. So a new play with a new playwright about race. That's what you
might
talk
not
about
be
the
your
three.
strongest choice.
Right. I mean, when Cap Rep, thank you, did Race, they did an amazing job, but they had Mamet's name and they had Maggie Mancini's name behind it. So, of course, it was going to be...
And a regional theater.
Thing. So, of course, and it did very well. But this particular play, it takes chances.
Yes.
It takes chances.
Yes.
So it wasn't quite ready, but I think it's...
But don't we in life, don't we every single day of our life take chances?
Absolutely.
And so which doesn't detract from the fact that you chose to do this play and you're doing it. I think it was a marvelous choice, and I'm just thrilled to death that you were able to put all the pieces together. You must be some kind of a Wonder Woman, because you raised this child now, and you're going to launch this child now on March 18th, and it'll run through the 26th. So we should plan to be at the Albany Barn between the 18th and the 26th of March with 2 matinees. So those of us who are older can go there in the afternoon. There's parking available on the street. But you've chosen a play that I think will absolutely give us all something to think about, and hopefully continue to open those doors that we need so badly to be opened, and in a respectful way communicate with each other about how to continue to make all of this work, make all of this work for all of us. Well, I'm very, very excited about this. We have probably about 4 minutes, so I'd want to ask you, do you have anything that you can think of that we haven't hit on that you'd really like the audience to know about?
Well, like you said, it takes a village to raise a child, and our baby has a so-called fund through our GoFundMe page. So if you look up under debut of Clybourne Park, it's always a challenge for theater companies to put on plays, and even though the Albany Barn has been wonderful working with us, but we still have a little ways to go.
Any theater company.
If it comes to $5, $10, $25, anything is appreciated. So
excellent.
GoFundMe page, debut of Clybourne Park.
Excellent.
Yes.
We'll put that on the runner at the end of our program today.
Thank you.
Would they be able to find that page if they went to Classic Theater Guild?
Yes.
Okay, so in case we can't get it all on, they can go to Classic Theater Guild website, and there'll be
a link
to okay. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. I feel the same way.
Pleased to have met you. Pleased that you've undertaken this this wonderful production. I've not seen it. I look forward to seeing it. A Capital Region premiere. I hope that you'll all join me. I hope that we continue to be entertained by theater in and of itself, and keep the dialogue about race and family and love and where we're all going alive and well here in the Capital Region. Take care, and I'll see you next time on An Open Door.